Thank you so much, and good evening to everyone. I'm so pleased to be with young activists, explorers, many good people to celebrate World Wildlife Day. I think we are all aware of the problem. Problem is that wildlife is disappearing in many parts of the world, ecosystems are destroyed, and we humans, through climate change and through our behavior, are putting an enormous pressure on wildlife. I will not describe the problem anymore because I think everyone listening to this will be aware. So let me focus on the solutions and on the hope, because I believe that we know how to change, how to behave better, how to protect the planet and Mother Earth in a completely new way. First of all, wildlife is bouncing back, and it can bounce back. We have seen that in the COVID-19 crisis, all over the planet, wildlife was bouncing back. Penguins were walking down the streets of Cape Town in South Africa. Deer were coming back in cities in Japan. Bear were coming back in cities in Spain. And in the North Indian cities, which have been enormously polluted, for the first time they could see the Himalayas. For 20 years, they were no way of seeing Himalayas, now they can see it. So the ability of wildlife to bounce back when conditions are right is enormous. The biggest sin of my nation when it comes to wildlife may be to bring the blue whales in the Antarctica close to extinct. That was done by Norwegian whalers. I mean, there were whalers from the UK and other nations as well, but Norwegian whalers were in the forefront of killing out the blue whales. But now we see blue whales are coming back, and they're coming back fast, and they're coming back large. Why is that? Because the threat has disappeared. The blue whales were threatened by human killings, and when that disappeared, they are able to come back. So we should not underestimate, and that's the good news, the ability for wildlife to bounce back as soon as we humans behave in a better way. Secondly, there is a huge global momentum for conservation. The new president of the United States, Joe Biden, has said that the United States will conserve 30% of its landmass. And by the way, the conservation idea from the beginning was a very American idea. The American President Theodore Roosevelt once said that there is nothing as American as a national park. And indeed, the first national park in the world was the Yellowstone National Park in the United States. So it's a strong, proud history in the United States for protecting nature. Now, for instance, we see also bison coming back in the Dakotas on the prairies because people are behaving in a new and better way. Still have far less than the amount of bison which was historically there. I mean, I think it was about 150 million bison in the US before the white people came from Europe to destroy them. Now it's maybe 1 million, but still it's much better than nothing. So it's improving, and the United States in conserving better. If we move on to China, they are the main power in the world, exactly the same. Chinese Minister of Environment told me that we Chinese will protect 31% of the landmass of China. So we see conservation coming back in a new fashion, and it helps. But maybe most, and of course there's the global aim of 30% protection of land and 30% protection of the ocean, and we need to make sure that it's the most important areas which are protected, not just those where there is little wildlife. Thirdly, good policies help. And we now have a huge number of success stories to tell. In China, to stay a little bit there, they have been hugely successful in protecting the pandas. It's a very high-tech operation where they put out different devices, monitor from a center to make sure that the pandas are not moving into populated areas where they could easily get into trouble. But it is working. Number of pandas is increasing by the day in the areas of China where pandas are living in the wild, which is basically the province of Sichuan and a few other areas. Moving on to India, number of tigers in India is rapidly increasing, still far too low, but increasing. And Nepal is the first nation in the world that has doubled the number of tigers in the last few years. And I've done this through good conservation, for instance, to make bypasses where there is a road or a railroad so that the tigers can pass, or to connect different national parks so that they can connect from one national park to mate in another national park without eating individuals on the way. So it works. Snow leopards, the same in the Himalayas and in Central Asia, on the increase. And maybe one of the most astonishing success stories, small African nation of Rwanda. As you will recall, they went through the worst genocide in human history, but they restored the nation. And part of that is to become maybe the best practice in Africa on protecting wildlife. If you want to see the gorillas, I mean, the gorillas are now rapidly increasing in Rwanda. They're still very much threatened in Congo and other neighboring states, but in Rwanda, the population of gorillas is rapidly increasing. Why is that? Because they have made it a major tourist industry to look after the gorillas. And then, of course, you have the incentives. The local people there, they know that if they want to be a tourist guide or hotel, working in the hotel, be a taxi driver or teacher or nurse or whatever you want to do in the area, you want to protect the gorillas because that's what keeps the business going. And if you want to visit the gorillas in Rwanda today, you have to pay 1,500 American dollars for 1 hour for one person with the gorillas, meaning that a family of 4 will have to pay 6,000 American dollars to stay with a gorilla family for 1 hour, because then you create the local incentives to protect the wildlife. To sum up all this into what is the right policy, I think you need strong governments to decide that we want to protect Mother Earth, like they have in Rwanda, like Theodore Roosevelt say in the United States, or that China is doing today with the so-called red line system, which is protecting nature in the most difficult places in China. You need, secondly, to work with the local people, because if the local people are those killing the animals, you have no chance. There's no way you can send the police and the army to protect any sort of animal if the local people want to kill them. However, if the local people are the first in the front line to protect animals against the poachers, against the criminals, then you have an enormous opportunity to protect the wildlife. And that's why it's so encouraging when you can link it to tourism and economic benefit, because then you see the local community stand up as one man or one woman to protect the animals. And you need to use all the modern technologies which we can use to avoid conflicts between elephants and people, gorillas and people, tigers and people. Tiger is a very dangerous animal. It can kill people. It can kill a poor villager in India for sure. And then you need to use technology to make sure this doesn't happen, while at the same time protecting the animals. So when the list is strong government conservation efforts, working with the local people and using the best of modern technologies, I think we are now in a place where we can move from a global environment nature catastrophe into a much lighter future. And we can make sure that our children, grandchildren, and grandchildren all will live in a world where there are tigers, lions, elephants, snow leopards, and whales. So congratulations with this great day, and let's keep up the spirit of conservation and the spirit of protecting Mother Earth.
Thank you very much, Erik. We actually were going to ask you the importance of intergenerational dialogue on these environmental issues, but you said that very well. But obviously, you said you need a strong government. You need for the local people not to kill. So another question we had was, what can we do as people? However, maybe the question should be what not to do, because like you said, during COVID-19 outbreak, during this pandemic, since people weren't there to show harm to the environment, it was much better during this time. So what do you think is the importance of this intergenerational dialogue? How can we teach the younger generations, including myself, so as a member of the younger generation, what can we do to support this?
I think there are, by and large, three things young people can do. Number one, engage. Look to what are the civil society groups, the people are standing up for the environment and for animals. Engage with them, write articles, put out your opinion on the social media. Some people ask me, does it matter what I do? Can I change the world? But my answer is always, who else? If you don't try to change the world, who will do it for you? So engage in all these ways where you can engage, discuss with the parents and grandparents and friends and everyone, but kind of really use your ways, your opportunity to engage. Secondly, vote for and support the right political leaders. Make sure that next time you elect the leader of your land, it's a green one. Because political leadership matters a lot. It's very hard for the individual to be environment friendly if the political leadership try to destroy your land. If you elect a leader who destroys the rainforest, you can embrace a tree, but you have a difficulty. So make sure you get the right political leadership. And thirdly, send this right message to business. Tell the business that I don't want to buy your product unless you give me the guarantee through a sustained supply chain that when you sell me your timber or your meat or your palm oil or your soya, whatever you sell me, your car, is an environment-friendly model. Because not everyone will put that pressure on business. But if 1/4 of the customers do that, it has enormous impact and business will change. And of course, business, they are not evil people. Like us, they don't want to destroy the nature. And then when they get the market signal that young people simply don't want to buy products unless you can give me the app showing me that throughout the supply chain of your product, this is done in a green environment friendly way, well, then I will go to your competitor and buy something else.